Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is home ownership consultant Ross Kay from thewealthyhomeowner.ca. Welcome back to the show, Ross.
And thanks for having me back, Jim.
Ross, the CMHC said that we should have a, quote, normal housing market within 2 years, so they know what they're talking about.
They know what they're talking about. What's their definition of a normal housing market? What is their definition of a normal housing market? And what I think you'll find if you do a little research, they don't have one. These absurd comments that come out of people commenting on the housing market, including our government agencies who oversee the entire housing market, really have to stop. If you are going to use a term like a normal housing market, then you need to be able to explain to Canadians what you mean when you say that. Does that mean the average Canadian family will take on an extra $200,000 of mortgage debt? Does it mean that they'll take on an extra $250,000 of mortgage debt? Does it mean that the home ownership rate is going to sit at 68%, 70%, or 72%? Does it mean that the politicians, the Bank of Canada, is going to hold interest rates at today's level for the next 2 years guaranteed? Are they going to explain how the compositional mix of home buyers has changed radically over the last 6 years, and it has fueled house price inflation? Is that the normal they're talking about, Jim? What is the normal? Is the normal the claim that the Quebec housing market is hot, when the truth of the matter is Quebec is seeing only a 3.4% annual rate of growth in their home prices? Those prices are fueled solely by a compositional shift of sales. Nothing more, nothing less. In real terms, price growth is negative. The housing stock in Quebec is growing, and the renovations that are being done in the homes is being completed, and the homes that are being purchased wipe out, when you adjust for all of those measures, the supposed hot housing market in Quebec. What is normal? Is normal a period of time in Vancouver when home prices were being reported as going up 20% year over year, when in fact that was a false metric perpetuated by organized real estate and all of the members of real estate brokerages across the province? Is that normal? What about the money that was laundered in BC, specifically Vancouver? Money laundering meaning getting capital out of other countries like China. Was that normal? What exactly defines normal in the eyes of CMHC? What I can tell you, Jim, is at Ross K. Realty Consultants, we view normal as how homeowners view normal. They view normal over their lifetime of home ownership. They take the ups and downs of the housing market over the 40 to 50 years they will be homeowners, and they weather those periods of time. resulting in an overall 40 to 50 year ownership life cycle that defines normal. A housing market is never flat. A housing market is never stabilized. A housing market is cyclical. It goes up, speeds up, and it slows down. It speeds up, and it slows down. At some time, it runs off the tracks because it's going too fast. And it takes a while for the train to get put back in the tracks again. What exactly is normal from CMHC? And if they knew what was normal 6 years ago in 2013, why didn't they tell the public that what normal was in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, or right now up until almost November of 2019? Why have they not defined what is normal? Well, I know why they haven't defined it, Jim, and that's because they don't understand it. They don't understand how the Canadian Real Estate Association produced their sales records numbers of 533,000 sales. They don't understand that record was established because in the year 2016, the count of for sale by owners by organized real estate reached its peak. They don't know what normal is.
We'll have more with Ross Kay right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the 2019 drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Cypress Development Corp. is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp. trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Ross Kay. Ross, the Bank of Canada is expected to post higher rates tomorrow, or are they?
I think what they're going to do tomorrow, Jim, is you're going to hear this. What you're going to hear, Jim, is a culmination of 6 years of false narrative being force-fed to the Bank of Canada by organized real estate. You have the culmination of all of those efforts are going to come home to roost. You're going to have a Bank of Canada governor announce on national television that the housing market is stabilized and that it is maybe even picking up steam, is how he will see it. He will have his deputy governor sitting there nodding in agreement. The result of that decision will be that the Bank of Canada will hold interest rates where they are. If you go back in our shows months and months ago, you'll find out that we explained that the Bank of Canada is being misled by stakeholders in the home trading infrastructure. We continue to believe that today. We believe it because we have the data that supports it. The Bank of Canada is going to announce at the same time the Americans probably drop their rates because they have a president, and everybody can scoff at Trump all they want, who understands he will not get reelected if the American economy is in the tanks. Trump, more than anyone in the history of American politics, understands the wealth effect and how it works, because his entire business, the good and the bad, has been built upon it. He has built a business on house price illusion. He should have. He is a real estate broker from New York City. He was involved in the real estate business from the 1970s forward. He understands the wealth effect. He understands he will not get reelected if he doesn't have the housing market moving forward. He understands the housing market in the United States for the last 2 years has been contracting, and it's ready to go full negative. And if he doesn't stop it, the outcome will be he's not reelected. He has put all of this pressure on the Fed in the United States solely to get the housing market going again. In Canada, it's just the opposite. In Canada, what we're going to see is the Bank of Canada believing the selling message of organized real estate that the housing market is getting busier. Rush out and buy, young buyers. Rush out and buy so that our members can make commission. We have already heard crazy comments coming up from some real estate agents in Toronto and in Vancouver about bidding wars and nonsense like that again. It is hogwash. If your realtor is letting you enter a bidding war in 2019, it's clear they are not representing your interests because there is enough inventory available for you to go out and buy that there is no need to enter a bidding war. I can assure every home buyer in the greater Vancouver area and the greater Toronto area, you are not being shown all the properties that you have to choose from. You are only being shown the decades-old practice of organized real estate, the houses that they don't have to do any work to show you. It's the ones that are currently listed on the MLS list. When the Bank of Canada announces tomorrow that interest rates are going to remain unchanged, the Bank of Canada will be stating they believe the Canadian Real Estate Association. They will be stating they believe Greg Clump. They believe the British Columbia Real Estate Association. They believe the Ontario Real Estate Association. They believe the Toronto Real Estate Board, the Vancouver Real Estate Board, the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board, the Real Estate Board of Hamilton Burlington, whose message has been totally transformed in the last 2 years, now that they no longer have anyone in their membership holding them to account. You are going to hear tomorrow the wrong thing, the thing you shouldn't be hearing. You're going to hear that interest rates will remain unchanged.
What would you like to hear?
What would I like to hear? Really, Jim? And your listeners aren't going to like it. I would like to hear the Bank of Canada say, we are going to ask the OSFI to hold the mortgage qualification rate at what it is today, regardless of the predatory practices that come down by Canadian banks. Because what I'll tell you, Jim, is this. Right now, the Canadian banks have a marketing strategy ready to go immediately upon the announcement that interest rates will remain unchanged. They have been setting the Canadian public up for the last 3 months for this announcement. You see, Jim, even if the bank holds the interest rate the same, the banks themselves, the Canadian banks, have the ability to lower the mortgage qualification rate by simply having 4 of those banks, or the 6, drop their 5-year posted rate. Now, are they going to do that now, or are they going to do that in the future? Are they going to rely upon the Fed in the U.S. dropping their rate, which will have a corresponding decrease in the bond rate in the U.S., which will have a corresponding drop in the Canadian bond rate, or increase in the Canadian bond rate, depending on what happens with our currency, and the subsequent ability of the banks to play that against Canadians. We don't hear any of that discussion taking place. You haven't heard the manipulation of the mortgage qualification rate, or B20. You haven't heard that in a Canadian newspaper in the last 2 years. Yet we're tracking it daily. We can see how they're manipulating the consumer. And we're heading into November. So we know what should be happening with mortgage rates right now. So what we would like to hear tomorrow is the Bank of Canada actually say, we're going to lower the Bank of Canada rate in tandem with having the OSFI legislate the mortgage qualification rate now becomes posted at 5.19%. That's what I would love to hear. And regardless of how the banks act, if I'm Mr. Polas tomorrow, I would be stating, regardless how the banks act after our rate decision today, the mortgage qualification rate will remain at 5.19%. That's what I would love to hear. I would love to have him go on further and say, as a matter of fact, we are formally going to hold the mortgage qualification rate at 5.19% for the next 2 years. It's not going to change. If rates drop by a 1 percentage point, the mortgage qualification rate stays the same. If rates rise by 3%, the mortgage qualification rate is going to stay the same. The mortgage qualification rate is not going to change over the next 2 years, are the words we would love to come out of the Bank of Canada. We know we're not going to hear them because CMHC says it's going to be normal. They don't define normal. The Bank of Canada hasn't defined normal. The Bank of Canada has research paper after research paper after research paper being released by the bank, available right for download on their website by any Canadian, where they have their entire staff of economists in 2019 still guessing about the housing market. They can't come to a factual conclusion about outcomes and forecasts or predictions or what happened in the past. They're still reaching for straws, trying to come up with a solution. They won't, because they don't know what normal is.
We'll have more with Ross Kay right after the break.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Ross Kay. Ross, we have a listener question. They ask, can Ross say what he thinks the trend is for lower-end condos in the lower mainland of BC for the next 6 months or so? Well, do you know what the trend is?
Do I know what the trend is? This is what the trend is, Jim, and it's disgusting. Because you have realtors already out there in the lower mainland telling young, innocent families that they are free to enter bidding wars on condos that are underpriced. So there are condominiums in your marketplace is so slow right now. It is so slow that realtors are underlisting properties to try to generate an offer. Now, an underlisted property naturally attracts the attention of buyers. Instead of having the eyes of 1 or 2 sets of buyers on it, it could have 20 sets of buyers for multiple reasons. Buyers who couldn't afford the property had it been listed at the proper price. Buyers who could afford more expensive property who see a deal and think they should put an offer in on it. And buyers who are actually at that price category, who see the property and say, hey, that's a good deal versus what everything else we're looking at. They're expanding the buyer base. That group of buyers in aggregate will put an offer in the property. Why? Because the buyer brokerage, the realtors who are representing the buyers, are incompetent. Because there is so much inventory available in the lower mainland right now, even in lower end condo, that you can go out and buy if you're a home buyer, yet they're not being shown to home buyers because the realtors are afraid of not getting a commission. The trend that you're going to see is you're going to see realtors continue to act like it's 1980 and 1990. You are not going to see buyer representatives telling their buyers, no, you cannot overbid on this property. No, you cannot purchase this home with condition free in order to try to win a bidding war. It is asinine in 2019 for any home buyer to believe or be directed to believe that they need to purchase any home without any conditions in order to win a bidding war on a home that has been underpriced. It is insane, Jim. We are talking about a way of buying real estate that was outdated 10 years ago, let alone in 2019. There is no need for any home buyer anywhere in Canada. There was no need in 2016, in Vancouver, 2017, in Toronto, or today, anywhere. For you to have to risk yourself by going condition-free on an offer in a bidding war. We have our technology that is available to home buyers today surpassed this a decade ago. You no longer have to do these things. If your realtor is asking you to go, or even if your realtor does one of a couple of things, asks you, recommends to you, advises you, suggests to you, or physically allows you to enter a competitive bidding war with a condition-free offer when previously you were going to insert conditions into your offer, you should be charging them with the provincial regulator. Because clearly that real estate sales rep or brokerage is not keeping up with the times, because you no longer need to act that way. You should immediately be calling your lawyer and asking your lawyer, why is your real estate agent who has signed a contract to you to represent you only in the purchase of a house for yourself at the lowest price possible, under the best possible terms, even remotely considering allowing you going in on a bidding war and condition-free, possibly at over the asking price? I hope your listeners can understand how insane this should sound, because it is. It's 2019. If you look at one home today, I can guarantee there are 5 other homes that you could choose to buy. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee if you're going to buy a condo at $500,000, that there are another 2 or 3 or 5 condos in that exact same building, which are not listed with a realtor today, that would smile and jump you if you offered them the same amount of money as someone else is asking for the identical condo. What will never happen is because your realtors are so incompetent, they won't give you a list of those properties. They won't go to those people and knock on the door, and they won't tell those owners of those condos how you could buy it at market value and everybody could be a winner. They won't do it. Why? Because there is no listing contract signed today. And they are so incompetent that they don't know how to handle unlisted property. They don't know how to fulfill their due diligence requirements. The person who is asking this question today, Jim, I feel really, really bad for them. And what I'm going to recommend, yes, you can say that this is a self-beneficial message. You need to sign up somewhere where you're going to get the advice that you need. That advice should be able to be delivered to you free of charge in one form or another. If you are even suggesting that this is true, if you are even wondering about lower mainland, lower price condos, if you are even considering entering a bidding war or buying a home without condition, you need to get advice that is non-realtor generated. That's the only advice I can give you today.
Ross, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Jim.
My guest has been home ownership consultant Ross Kay from thewealthyhomeowner.ca. If you have any questions for Ross or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@housestreet.com. Find us on Twitter @HouseStreet, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.